Matt Orfalea is back to talk to us about how Axios is reporting that Biden's digital strategy is an army of influencers. Influencers is one of those words that sounds like nails on a chalkboard for me because I like to consider myself an outfluencer. This is what it says, that President Biden's not yet official bid for reelection will lean on hundreds of social media influencers who will tout Biden's record and soon may have their own briefing room at the White House, Axios has learned. Now, first off, Matt, I'll just say that we don't really find out how Axios got this information. So I'm just going to guess that the Biden White House sent them a press release, basically, or just called them up and said, this is what's going on. So just report it for us, because that's basically
Absolutely.
how works,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So Biden's digital strategy team will connect with influencers across the nation to target those who may not follow the White House or Democratic Party on social media and have tuned out mainstream media altogether. 4 digital staffers on Biden's team are focused on influencers and independent content creators. And I just want to make sure we all understand these are paid White House officials that our tax dollars are paying for. Okay. Which, I was just thinking to myself the other day, Matt, how insane it is that we pay for these massive communications teams that basically at this point in history are just obfuscating the truth from the people and being used to play whack-a-mole against those opinions, ideas that they don't like. I understand if it were working the way it was supposed to work, that we're paying for a communications team that's there to serve us, to give us the real information, to provide us public records, for instance, but that's not what they do. They just run propaganda constantly. So I guess that's another thing I'm just flagging, that like the people who are going to be used to push the propaganda are paid by our tax dollars, and that's what these communications teams have turned out into. And then they're trying to reach young people. Okay, blah blah blah. Trump, got this big following on social media, so they want to compete with him. And the quote, administration is moving toward giving influencers their own briefing room in the White House. So they are going to turn into the new corporate press. And Matt, you and I have talked about this in the past, that if you're watching YouTube, for instance, you are basically going to be given information and shown channels that is making YouTube like the next corporate media. I mean, just the next legacy press, because that's who they're recommending. And it's going to be more of this kind of stuff too. This is what they say is the intrigue, and I'm going to throw it over to Matt. The administration is courting support on TikTok, even as it is called for the platform to be sold or else risk being banned in the US because of its owner's ties to China's government. So another piece of hypocrisy, just totally bizarre. They're going to use TikTok to push Biden's campaign and his agenda, but they're also trying to ban it. What? Because China? It doesn't make any sense. All right, Matt, opening thoughts.
Well, we'll start with the title. They refer to Biden's digital team as an army of influencers. If anyone's familiar with the Hamilton 68 project, they referred to the dissident right and left as an army of Russian bots and trolls. So
Right.
that's interesting. And then you're correct to be upset that, all this money is going to just government propaganda, but it's actually much worse than that. These digital communication teams nowadays, one name I recognized in this article is Rob Flaherty, who is leading the effort as Biden's, digital communications guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was caught in the Louisiana lawsuit, against the White House for censorship online. There are emails from him emailing Facebook to censor Tucker Carlson, to censor Tomi Lahren for vaccine criticism. And the way he's talking in these emails is like he's just the most arrogant, entitled motherfucker. Like he's talking, he's like, he's complaining that it's not suppressed enough.
Oh yeah, I found.
So it's clear that they've had a discussion to suppress Tucker Carlson and Tomi Lahren and any vaccine criticism.
Okay.
And he's complaining it's not down enough. And so, I mean, that's what these digital communications teams do now. I mean, in addition to propaganda, which they will be doing on TikTok now, clearly, they're censorship teams. It's not communication. It's censorship teams.
Yeah.
And that's so messed up.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to show this in a second. But first, everybody, real fast, thanks to Noble Gold for sponsoring this video and several more this month. If you are interested in diversifying into precious metals and you want to back up your IRA with gold, consider going to morrowgold.com or 877-646-5347 and support my work by just going there and asking them some questions about what it would be like to sign up. Ask them some questions about what it costs to start this, what it costs to maintain, what it costs to withdraw. And like I said, you can support my work just by asking some questions. They've been in business for over 2 decades. They've got almost 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau and with Consumer Affairs. And also, every qualified IRA gets a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin. Again, if you qualify. Second largest, third largest bank runs in history happened last month. And we hear all the time about how the US dollar is declining in value. I hear people concerned about the housing market, the economy, generally speaking. Again, lots of people questions about precious metals. A lot of people are thinking about them right now. And the good news is you can find out more information about IRAs backed with gold. If you also want to support my work at the same time, it's a great way to do both. So again, go over to morrowgold.com or 877-646-5347 and tell them I sent you. Again, as I always read, so that the beautiful government we've been talking about today doesn't come after me and throw me in jail. I have to say, this is not financial advice. There's always a risk when investing, and there are no guarantees of any kind. Okay, so let's go back to Matt. Matt, I want to show the Missouri Attorney General releases more documents exposing White House's social media censorship scheme. The guy you're talking about, right?
There he is.
White House Digital Director Flaherty scolds Facebook, saying that he really couldn't care less about products unless they're having measurable impact at suppressing speech. Flaherty informs Facebook that misinformation around the vaccine is a concern shared at the highest, and I mean highest, level of the White House. Flaherty demands that Facebook to step up its operations of removing bad information on vaccines. In regard to anti-vax posts, Flaherty tells Facebook that slowing it down seems reasonable. Facebook assures Flaherty that in addition to removing vaccine misinformation, we have been focused on reducing the virality of content discouraging vaccines that does not contain actionable misinformation, including often true content. Flaherty vehemently disagrees with Facebook's decision not to take down a Tucker Carlson video on COVID-19 vaccine, stating, "Not for nothing, but last time we did this dance, it ended in an insurrection." Flaherty tells Twitter that if your product is appending misinformation to our tweets, that seems like a pretty fundamental issue. Facebook assures Flaherty that they remove claims public health authorities tell us have been debunked or are unsupported by evidence, and Flaherty accuses Twitter of total Calvin ball and bending over backwards to tolerate disfavored speech after Twitter refuses to comply with White House demands to censor a video. So yeah, that's the guy who's going to be running this influencer campaign. Obviously, here to promote truth and freedom. It's the American way.
No, yeah, he's horrible. He's one of the most pathetic people. You know, how pathetic is it to have to censor people? You know, like you're a communications guy, and your form of communicate you doesn't know how to fucking communicate. Because that's why he's censoring. If he could communicate, or if he was interested in communicating an honest message, he wouldn't have to censor. So I hate this guy. And it's really messed up that, again, in the article, I was really alarmed to see that, okay, first of all, everything you read, all this stuff about his censorship that came out, I think, January. So, and then just a couple months later, he became assistant to the president. What the hell? I mean, so he's moving on up. So that just shows how much he's assistant to the president. Got
he is
promoted a month ago after all this shit comes out. So that just tells you the Biden administration is so, I mean, it's just so scary how authoritarian it is. That means more censorship, everyone. If you're gonna, in normal times, with the sane, society, like that guy would have been fired, right? But no, we're going into more authoritarian, more fascist times. And so that motherfucker got promoted. That is really messed up.
Well, you also bring up a really good point too, in regards to the fact that again, okay, yes, it says right here, the same rank as the White House communications director and press secretary. That's basically, he's at their level.
He's both.
And
Yeah. Well, he's both now. You know, I mean, on his LinkedIn, he's assistant to the president. Oh, there it is.
oh yeah,
Communications.
has been named. Yeah,
Yeah.
assistant to the president. Yeah, same rank as the White House communications director and press secretary. Right. And so they're saying here they're going to give these, like, these are, you know, young people. Harry Sisson, 20-year-old NYU student who breaks down the day's news on TikTok. TikTok, I always call it that, TikTok. And Vivian, too, a former trader who discusses financial topics in short clips on TikTok and Instagram, which we're going to just talk about in a second. Like, okay, TikTok's so dangerous, but we'll use it, right? And they're going to give these kids basically their own briefing room. And do you think you're going to get to keep your ability to access these folks and get to the new influencer briefing room if you ever diverge from their intended agenda? No way.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like making it seem like, oh, we're gonna have a briefing
Ha,
room.
yeah.
That's not a briefing room for not that. I mean, listen, I don't even think highly of the briefing room for the actual White House correspondents, but this is even worse. You know, like, there's no way you're gonna
Yeah.
get to go to the briefing room and talk to the president if you say any negative word about him.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy is definitely not, he's against doing anything against his rules, whatever that we know, which is anything that him and the Biden administration don't want people to say or do. They're trying to pass something to throw people in jail so that they can throw people in jail if they, you know, say something they don't like or do something they don't like on TikTok. You know, they just smear you as a Russian propagandist or a Russian agent, like they did through Hamilton 68 incessantly for 5 years. And something I didn't notice until you read the article, Allison, is that he said he called Twitter Calvin ball as if that's a bad thing, as if do you know what Calvin ball is?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Explain it to me.
So Calvin ball is a reference to goddamn Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, okay.
It's a sport, and it's a game. It's a goddamn kids game in Calvin and Hobbes. So you have a lovable, fun, chaotic, yes, but you know, this is a fun character, adventurous character, creative character, Calvin, who questions things. Rob Flaherty doesn't like that. So, I mean, so he thinks, so Calvin ball, anyway, it's a game where Calvin plays with his stuffed animal tiger, Hobbes. And apparently the rules, there's only one rule that no games are alike. Rules, I mean, it's like a chaotic game. You gotta be played. Anyway, so it's just like kind of like a chaotic game, right? The game may involve wickets, mallets, volleyballs, and additional sports-related equipment. So it's kind of just this wild, wacky, playful, crazy kids game. So in other words, it's just Calvin and Hobbes playing. And so Rob was like, no, you can't be creative. You can't make up your own game. We're going to tell you what you can say. And if you say what you're not allowed to, he will censor you, suppress you, and they're trying to throw you in jail. They're trying to pass legislation to throw you in jail for years. And guys, this is they've already showed that they don't have a problem throwing you in a cell and keeping you rotting away until you die, which is what they're doing with Julian Assange. His only crime was publishing truthful information. The Biden, now, sadly, the Trump administration started that. Biden administration's continuing it.
Okay, I have to ask, why did they originally have Boston College professor Heather Cox Richardson and then take her off? See? He said, remove Heather Cox Richardson as one of those creators. She got the boot.
Interesting.
Doesn't that kind of make it, that's a little weird, isn't it?
Well, I mean, my guess is like maybe they discovered, oh, she says something that we don't like.
I know, that's what I'm wondering.
So that's just, and unfortunately, like, that's just how easy it is because there's so
Yeah.
many, I mean, people out there who want the access, who want the power, who want the views that a Biden retweet will get you, right? And I think that's essentially all they're offering these people. I wouldn't be surprised if they paid them, but the article says they're not, or was updated to say they're not. So, it's just kind of it's a power thing, access thing. People are attracted to access and power. The White House with all its influence can offer that. And I mean, the most disturbing thing about this is the team that's in charge of this. Because like you said, this is like, hey, communications, it's a normal thing. The only difference is we're moving to TikTok now. But so I don't see that as that significant a difference. But the significant difference is this is a team, a communication team that is actually a censorship team.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
exactly. That's exactly that. I know that's that's one of my main problems. If first off, I guess if these were not government officials, maybe it would be a different game, because at least like they're private citizens and they're not like working for the government, which is supposed to follow the law, which clearly they don't. And secondly, like we're paying for them. So, okay, first off, how is it okay that we're paying for Biden's campaign? I mean, isn't that illegal? I thought that was not allowed, that they were like using their communication staff for their campaign. Isn't there a rule against that?
Honestly, I don't know. I
I think
expect there is. Yeah.
I think there is. I mean, I used to work in state government, and that was a law.
I would
You weren't
expect there
allowed
is, but
to.
it's like so hard to separate, like, I mean, he's basically campaigning. I mean, just like
Yeah,
his
it's
every
true.
day, it's just campaigning. Everything he
It's just
does
campaign.
is
Yeah, well,
campaign.
that's
Yeah.
like what the presidency is nowadays. It's just it's just one big campaign.
Yeah.
It's not even,
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, they don't do anything unless they feel like it's going to get them
Yeah.
reelected, even if it's, the right thing to do, right?
I mean, hey,
Anyway.
if it's actually something good, but they won't do that. Like,
No.
you have these fucking, everything he says is a lie. It's like, oh, we want to bring the country together, not divide it. Okay, totally false. We're for free speech. Totally false.
Right.
We want a free press. We need to support a free press. Vote. Trump says you guys are the enemy of the people. We support a free press. Totally false.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
effing false. Again, with the continued imprisonment of us and prosecution of Assange, and as well as the blatant efforts of censorship, social media censorship.
Okay, everyone, we're going to wrap it up in a second, but don't forget, AllisonWinePromo.com. You definitely need a drink after this. Everything Matt said, I'm sure has just driven you to be like, what's even the point? I might as well just get an Extremis Malbec and support Allison's work. You get the one in the middle here, never before imported 92-point Malbec, and it comes from almost 8,200 feet. And the one on the left comes from a vineyard that uses hand-harvested grapes. Actually, the one in the middle from the oldest vineyard in Argentina, over 200 years old. And the one on the right is named after the Cowboys, the Rebel Cowboys of Argentina. They're all very good, very unique wines. And you get 50% off the wine itself and 50% off shipping. It's a great way to support my work. You can always go to twinenginecoffee.com/Allison and get some amazing USDA certified organic high altitude roasts, coffee. There's light roast, there's dark roast. There's also the tea that I always tell people about because I really like it. It's the Caturra tea coffee fruit that is around the coffee bean. It's a lot like black tea. It's very good, low caffeine, high antioxidants. So don't forget to do that. And if you want to go over to AllisonMorrow.locals.com, that's a great way to support my work too. You can be on my editorial board and put in questions ahead of time for interviews, suggest interview ideas, and I give priority there for the questions and whatnot. And we have editorial board meetings mostly every week on the weekends when my kids aren't sick and things are not totally chaotic. So I am working on that, making sure that's a weekly thing, but it's almost every week. So go join my editorial board. Okay. One final thing I just wanted to say, Matt, is that, well, first off, I think this gives us a window into what many of us already know about how the White House works with journalists, I guess, because at the end of the day, like if you think about it in a sort of a weird way, you could see the White House press corps as kind of influencers, because a lot of them, I mean, they're sort of part of the tribe. They play the game to maintain their access, and so now they're just extending to like the new White House press corps, which is the digital influencer sphere. And they did it during COVID. They paraded Fauci around to different YouTube channels where they knew he wasn't going to get any tough questions. They kept Kim Iverson from the interview when the Hill, got him on. So even the outlets know, like, oh, we will lose our access, not just the influencer, like the outlets like the Hill are doing it. I just think it's hilarious to me and sad at the same time that we hear this constant diatribe about threats to democracy, how all these things are threats to democracy, and the very threat to democracy is staring them right in the mirror, but they refuse to see how
they are the threats to democracy.
Yeah.
They are the threat to democracy.
What a mess.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
You can follow me.
Where should people go to follow you and what you're doing, Matt?
You can follow me on Twitter, 0RF, and YouTube and Rumble. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull you up.
And I was just telling Allison, everyone, that I watched so much MSNBC so that you don't have to document the craziness and insanity levels of the Hamilton 68 story, which I will tell you very briefly. In a nutshell, you had these fake Russian bot trackers that MSNBC and really all the rest of the media too, just used to smear the dissident left and right as Russian bots. And we only found this out through the Twitter files. Apparently Twitter had reverse engineered this website, Hamilton 68, and discovered that these accounts, they were not Russian bots. They weren't Russian or bots or trolls. They were mostly just regular Americans. And it was no different than a random pool of the Twitterverse. Anyway, so yeah, they lied hundreds of times on MSNBC alone, so that's why I had to watch that. Sorry, I'm shouldn't be. I'm treating this like a therapy session, trying to get over all this MSNBC. But yeah, I'll just leave that with a little tease for my next video.
You're always welcome to have verbal diarrhea here and get your therapy in. Yeah, everybody go follow Matt because he does all the video editing for like the big names and shows it in real time where the hypocrisy lies and takes on the right and the left, which is always appreciated. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They were very clear in this article. I guess this is one other last thing to add. They were clear in this article that these are unpaid. Okay, these are unpaid influencers, but what's the difference between the perk and the money? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not something that you're going to rely on for a living. On the other hand, a lot of these people are already making some serious bank on social media anyway. It's not like they need the money. It's the power. That's the next step. And
it will increase the money. I mean, it'll.
Oh, for sure. Money, but yeah. Well, anyway, so I guess no surprise that that's happening probably for a lot of people, but the fact that they're just blatantly out there with it, and that the guy who, like you said, the guy who's been in charge of slashing information left and right and our ability to access information left and right is the guy who's, who's I just
heading this whole thing.
To me, it's just, it's like, you know what? If you want to hire a PR firm with your own money on the side and have them do that kind of thing, okay. I mean, I guess I take issue with the fact that you're the president of the United States doing that, but it's your money and you're hiring. Fine. I don't know if that's legal or not, but where I really also just start like skin starts to crawl is the fact that like we pay for Flaherty's salary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we pay for that guy to pay
censor
him
us
by a lot of money.
To censor us. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and to keep us from knowing what's really going on.
It's so messed up. We've said messed up so many times. It's messed up.
Yeah, it's really messed up. All right. On that note, thanks everybody for watching. See you next time.
See you.